Everybody, how you guys doing today? In this video, we're going to continue from where we left off in the previous video. In the previous video, we went over the coronavirus and we covered the economic impact that it could potentially have. In this video, we're going to cover how this could potentially lead to capital flight and what implication it has for Bitcoin. If you haven't watched the previous video, I strongly recommend that you do. You can access that video by clicking the upper right hand corner of your screen. Whether you're a crypto enthusiast or you're new to crypto, I welcome you guys to join my community by subscribing to my channel and click that notification bell if you want to be alerted when I publish new content. And if at any point during the video you guys find yourselves enjoying the content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would smack that like button. And lastly, let me know what you guys think of this new format. Whether you guys like it or you don't like it, I would genuinely like your guys' honest feedback. So take some time, comment down below, let me know what you guys think. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this video. In the previous video, we left off with an article from Zero Hedge talking about the crazy amount of requests for flights out of China and the Hong Kong area. The article states the outbreak of COVID-19 is negatively impacting business aviation networks across Southeast Asia and the world. However, there's a new emerging trend that says otherwise. Elites are dodging commercial flights to avoid large crowds. They have opted for private jets, reported the Financial Times, citing data from WingX, a firm that provides market data relating to business aviation flight activity. The article further reads, in the first half of 2020, amid the virus outbreak in China, South Korea, and Japan, the number of private jet flights between Hong Kong to Australia and North America soared in January by 214% compared with a year ago. To me, this is a clear indication that the well-connected people in China know that this isn't any ordinary flu. They probably anticipate that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So they're basically doing what any sensible person would do. They're leaving the country to avoid being mixed up or being embroiled in any turmoil or fallout from the coronavirus. Now, this in itself probably won't lead to capital flight, but what if the Communist Party starts to lose control? In my previous video, we talked about how they're underreporting the number of cases. We discussed how they're mass producing these incinerators that are designed to cremate bodies. In fact, I even read some reports that some people were being burned alive. And all this is happening when the Chinese economy already wasn't doing so well. On top of all this, they're already having a hard time with Hong Kong. They're having issues with the ethnic Muslims in the West. And prior to even all that, China was having 100,000 plus protests per year. I think it's fair to say that the Communist Party is overextended in terms of the resources that they have. It's almost like they're battling on 5, 6, 10 different fronts all at the same time. I mean, just take a look at this. This is probably going on in a lot of places in China right now. And you won't see anybody in mainstream media play this. And when tensions get hot, anything could happen. Let's say a cop takes excessive action that ends up having fatal consequences. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get a full-blown revolution, but it could definitely set the stage for the Communist Party to abdicate their power. It'll definitely be a huge challenge for the people to pull this off, because the Communist Party, they have a very strong and robust surveillance apparatus, and they have all the guns, which makes it additionally challenging because in China, normal citizens aren't allowed to buy and possess guns. In the event that the Communist Party does lose its power, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to see a lot of the wealthy, the elites, the connected people leave the country as fast as they can. But to be honest with you, even if Communist Party retains its power, I still think that some people could potentially take the opportunity, given that the Communist Party is on the defensive on numerous fronts. It could be their window of opportunity to leave the country for good. Because post-virus, the country is going to go through a difficult transition period. I mean, just take a look at their public health sector. I've been reading reports that a lot of medical professionals have been getting infected on the job and dying. And doctors, you can't just train them overnight. It takes a very long time to become a doctor. So there's a good chance that sector might have this huge void for a very long time. And this is just one sector that we're talking about. With all these people dying, you can bet that a lot of sectors are going to be disrupted for an uncertain period of time. So rather than deal with all the problems post-virus, I suspect a lot of elites will elect to leave the country either temporarily or permanently until the conditions improve in China. This also means as the elites decide to get out of China, depending on how bad things really get, they may decide to take either some or all of their money out of China. But the problem is the Communist Party imposed very strict capital controls laws between 2016 and 2018. Despite the Communist Party imposing all these capital controls laws, I still think there's one vehicle, one method that the Chinese could use to take their money outside of China.
So are the average Chinese citizen, are they using Bitcoin to make transactions, or is this only like a pretty small group?
My impression is that the number of people who are trading cryptocurrencies is relatively high. This is probably similar to how people are playing video games on their phone. It can be quite addictive to trade with leverage. It has a bit of a casino feel. China also is not very welcoming of casinos, of gambling, but people demand these kind of products, and cryptocurrency exchanges is certainly one convenient way to gamble. In summary, Bitcoin allows individuals who do not want to move millions, but rather want to move tens of thousands, a convenient way to have access to the same money channels as people who move millions. So it's still possible to move millions and millions of US dollars out of the country. Some of this is fake invoicing, some of this is insurance schemes, some of this is tricking the bank into somehow approving this transaction. Some people who have a lot of money still have access to these channels. People who don't have a lot of money do not. They will have definitely trouble in a meaningful way with meaningful cost move 100,000 US dollars, let's say, to the US to finance their kids' education. Now, because of Bitcoin, they can go to these peer-to-peer markets, buy 100,000 US dollars worth of Bitcoin, and then directly in the US, it's very easy to sell those Bitcoin. You can pretty much be put directly into the bank account of the son or daughter in the US, who can then use that to pay for their school tuition, for example. And not only are they now able to move money out of China, but this happens without a lot of coordination, and that makes it relatively hard to shut down. If there was a single organization that would coordinate in moving large chunks of money out of the country by pooling funds from, let's say, you find 100 people who want to move out 50,000 US dollars, and then you move out 5 million in a single tranche, which you could do. But that requires a lot of coordination and a lot of trust. And with Bitcoin, there isn't really anybody in charge of this. You cannot find the kingpin.
Even in 2017, people speculated that part of the reason why Bitcoin went up so much so fast was because people in China used it as a vehicle for capital transfer. A few people wrote about this, including this author from Forbes, who writes, in 2017, China cracked down on capital flow exodus, and as we discussed last week, China then discovered Bitcoin. The value skyrocketed from 1,000 to over 19,000. China cryptocurrency exchanges were said to account for 90% of the global Bitcoin trading. But in late 2017, the Chinese government cracked down on Bitcoin, banning cryptocurrency exchanges. That set off the crash from 19,000 to 3,000. Personally, I think it's very possible that capital flight out of China could spark the next Bitcoin bull run. In my view, I think a lot of traders are just going to swing trade this pre-halvening, but I also think there's large players out there who are just accumulating discreetly. It's possible we're headed into the growth cycle of Bitcoin where it gets institutionalized. We're starting to get more regulatory clarity. The on-ramps for the institutions are being built, and a lot of infrastructure has already been built. With the halvening supply shock and a China boost, it could really set the stage for the institutions to get involved in a big and meaningful way. And once the big boys buy in and they have a vested interest in Bitcoin's success, that's when you'll see adoption go from 3% to 10%. Because with a vested interest, they'll have more compelling reasons to use their resources to help get pro-crypto legislation passed and also to publicly advocate for Bitcoin. If you thought my analysis was intriguing or interesting, and you enjoyed the content altogether, I welcome you guys to join my Discord channel. The primary focus is obviously digital assets, but sometimes we do pivot and talk about general market trends, politics, and other hot topics of the day. If that's something that interests you, make sure you guys reach out to me on Twitter and I'll give you full access to that Discord channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you guys are interested in seeing more content like this. If you guys find any value in the content that I publish, make sure you guys drop a comment and smack that like button for me. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude this video. This is CryptoOneStop signing out. I'll talk to you folks next time. Bye.